Zoe grew up in the fishing village of Guandans on the Caribbean Sea, where he taught himself to swim at great peril. A spear fisherman called Bully once pulled him drowning from the surf to find he had tied 5-pound rocks to his wrists, like the divers who hunted abalone off the reefs. "There are easier ways of the island," Bully told him. He instructed Zoe in the rudiments of stroke by comparing everything to his own daily labors. "Make your hand into a harpoon good and sharp. Drive it into the water and spear the fish." He lunged forward. "Bring it to your belt and wipe the guts." Zoe stood up the beach and practiced in the sun until the sweat stung his eyes, and then he practiced in the water. He placed an empty gallon barrel under his stomach and set himself adrift. Like this, he mastered the rhythm of the front crawl. He learned to open his eyes in the salt water and turn his face to breathe. Zoe was an orphan in a town without an orphanage, and the cool sea was one of the few joys of his childhood. At 5 years old, he could float on his back and see the strand and the high white church and the smoking mangrove coast at dawn. At 7, he could hold his breath long enough to go diving. Zoe knew the tides and the boats of the fishermen who plied them. He knew who was likely to throw him sardines from their leftover baits, and he always made sure to wait on these beaches when the tide came in. When the nurses came each year to dispense chewable vermicide tablets, Zoe waited in line 2 times and savored them like candies. Though he never attended class or stood for an exam, as the close apprentice to poverty, Zoe learned everything worth knowing. Food is hard to come by, but very few people starve to death. You can sleep anywhere if you just close your eyes. It is better to steal 1 banana from the bunch than the whole bunch at once. The town of Guandans lay on a golden beach under the mountain. It was marked to the west by the picturesque prison in the hill, and to the east by the river and the mangrove forest. No one lived in the forest, and only the shrimpers and lobstermen ever spent the night. Bully told Zoe stories about the gloomy alligator who lived there. "He's old as a dinosaur," Bully said. "The last of his kind on the island." He installed Zoe in his leaky canoe and took him out to sea. "You're my bilge pumps," Bully said, "and must not stop bailing water." But no matter how fast Zoe worked, the ship sank away beneath them until they arrived standing in water to their knees with Zoe bailing out the whole ocean. They visited the sandbar off Petit Kayamite, where Bully's people lived all spring, salting the fish they'd sell in Port-au-Prince through Lent. It was the farthest Zoe had ever been from the mainland, and he asked Bully if they would soon reach that other country. Bully had joined the Rastafarian church, and observing the sacraments of his faith, he puffed a fat spliff at twilight. "Look at that," he said, blowing off the smoke. "You see that yellow line?" Windward, far out to sea, a golden island sparkled in the sunshine. "The fishermen will tell you it is a beach of crushed pearl," Bully said, "or the island where the black pirate Caesar stashed his stolen gold. But they're wrong." A cloud of blue smoke trailed from his mouth. "That is the edge of Amerique. If you could only reach it, you'd become a millionaire." Zoe was 9 years old when he heard that. It was 1993, and the embargo was starving him to death. He was sleeping on the gallery of the government school in cardboard bedsheets. One afternoon not long after his trip with Bully, Zoe found the geography professor in his classroom. "How long would it take to swim to America?" he asked.